You know what I mean?
Okay, everybody?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. That's why I said it went into.
But
It's
you know,
going
I
to be
saw
social
the
trials.
that I tell the word is that I would actually.
It's hard.
It's
It's hard.
read the.
But it was reward. It was actually very rewarding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know who to call.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, Robin.
Ring the bell. Okay, over here, one.
Okay.
That was a way to, right, and then,
Thank
you know,
you.
like,
Okay.
right, so if one of the kids had a new tutor, they could, you know, read to them. Yeah, later, later. Oh, thanks.
Okay. So first of all, thank you, Cheryl, for getting all the snacks. Thank you,
Yeah,
Cheryl.
thank you,
Cheryl Hopper. Also, Cheryl wants you to know that we really would like you to come and register the students, and we absolutely will pay you for that time, so I apologize for that. And we urge you to come, and I will send you those dates when everything is finalized. The schools won't happen with the schools unless we do it in the hotels, and maybe we'll do that. You know, maybe we'll try to have a night in the hotels when we do that. But
You
but
reschedule
definitely
everyone every
the
year.
shelters. Yes.
You do. Okay.
Yeah. So I know most of the dates.
Most of the
but I'm
kids are
gonna
coming
send it.
back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Family Life has a lot of kids coming back. I don't have the Norwell list yet. Youth Division parents, I have to start calling.
When do you hold registration for?
Say that again?
How do you do registration for the youth division?
At the Y.
At the Y?
Yeah, we did it at the Y. Evelyn House, Kayla and Cara are there, and Lewis. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Okay, so we have a change to the manual. Is everyone ready for the change? All right. So find the matching schedule. It's in there. The only kids that are returning. So find the matching schedule. Okay, and then after the matching schedule, there are 4 pages that is suggested information for tutor orientations. And you can take a look at, this is just stuff from last year. So there's 4 pages. One says tutor orientation, shelters, hotels,
Right.
first night of tutoring,
Yeah.
tutor orientation schools, and then first day of tutoring. So there's 4 pages. They follow the matching schedule.
Okay.
So take them out and put them after the matching schedule.
Okay. So just say put them after that family.
Did everybody get that change? The 4 pages go after the matching schedule, and that's, so, and I will make the change on the table of contents, and we'll send that to you. But so far, that's the only.
Okay, let's see what other
Okay, so this is what
Right, okay, that's the family life.
Okay, did everybody do that?
Not yet. Sorry.
I think I got this right. If I didn't, I apologize. So okay.
Okay, so then we take these 4 and move them? Where do you want to
Those
move them?
4 move right after matching schedule.
Matching schedule.
They come right after that matching schedule, which is the George students, that grid. Those 4 documents come after that. So they're
Right
just
after
moved,
this.
they're moved earlier than they were. You're just moving them
Okay.
earlier. Those 4 pages. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Does she want to go before?
Teresa, did you get it?
And I'm gonna,
Myra told me wrong.
The family life, you have the one
I'll
page.
rearrange the table of contents. Okay, so the
Okay,
next,
It's after Downey.
okay.
It goes here.
yes, it's after the Downey matching schedule.
It's your book.
Okay.
And you go looking for it.
So the next thing we want to talk about is tutors. You guys are in charge of tutors. As much as we would like to be in touch personally with everyone and give them TLC, we can't do that. So that's why we have delegated that task to you. You're at the site, you're dealing with the tutors. So we feel about our tutors the way we feel about our students. They are as important to us as our students. And what we will do is we will spend some time this year talking as a staff, talking with you, and maybe coming up with a way or two of maybe showing our appreciation more, maybe as an institution, and also maybe things that you guys can do. But we do have systems in place already that allow you to nurture your tutors. You're at the site, definitely need to, establish a nice relationship with them at the site. And then you have the opportunity to send them weekly emails with your schedule. Or maybe if something fantastic happens, you can just shoot them a personal email and recognize something that they've done. So we are giving you, we're paying you for 3 hours of prep time, so part of that is to be able to send your tutor a nice email. So the next document in here is the weekly schedule, which we kind of touched on before. This is the format for the schedule that goes to the shelters. We'll be giving you a contact list that tells you all of the people that get the schedule. And I think that we need to add the program staff on site. We need to have them get the schedule so that they can print it out and post it, because it used to be that we would just send it to the higher ups, and it's hard for them to always post it, so sometimes that wasn't getting done. So on the contact list we'll have people like Lila and Jess, but also maybe people who are on site who can post the weekly schedule.
Robin, can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I remember at the Evelyn house, like it would be posted, but when you're asking the staff, it might be a Vista who's there in the evening, or whoever the staff is, if you have an extra copy and you can say, here's the kids, so that they can take it
Yeah, I
off.
do.
Yeah.
Well, usually I have like 4 copies, because then the
Right.
staff, they'll run around with the
Because
paper.
it's different staff
Yeah,
that
so-
are there in the
So,
evening.
so you're suggesting to bring extra copies?
No, she's already doing it.
Oh, but I think it's a great suggestion. Is that what your suggestion
It's
was?
just run off an extra copy,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like
I
think
Isabel,
that's great.
who's
Right.
upstairs might be, it's posted downstairs might be rounding up the kids, they can just help you.
Yeah, they want to have a copy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And most of the shelter sites have a copier that you can use if you don't have access
Right.
to a copier.
So I have included 2 sample emails in here. I didn't omit the names, so I hope I'm not embarrassing anyone. But that first night email is really important, the first night of tutoring. And I'll be in touch with everybody, and we'll figure all of this out beforehand, but you really do need to give them a lot of information that first night. So we will be in touch to make sure that you're including all of the information. But I included 2 sample emails. One is the first night email that FICA wrote, and then the next email, it was actually even longer than this, Lakia's email. I took some stuff out. But this is just an email to her tutors at the Arnone, notifying them of certain things. And everyone writes nice emails. I should have printed out everyone's emails. But everybody writes nice emails. But it's a really important part of the relationship, because it really is an opportunity to express your appreciation and give them any upcoming news, writing contests, whatever. So I know it maybe doesn't seem like it's important, but it is important.
Because the better prepared they feel, then they really feel a part of the team.
Right.
I mean, it's all about not just saying thank you and you're doing a great job, but it's really helping them understand you're a really important part of the work that we're doing. Part of our School on Wheels family. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
But
And I mentioned before that we don't have a system in place where we're keeping track of how long a tutor is committing for. And one of the reasons we didn't do it is because we just feel that things change so often that if we gather that information and enter it and stuff, that it's going to change. So we really kind of felt that it maybe wasn't worth it. That's a decision at the moment. So what you'll want to do at the end of each term, near the end of each term, is to send an email to your tutors to find out who's coming back and who's not, so that we can be notified, so we kind of have an idea of how many tutors we're gonna have to fill in. And this usually happens organically anyway. All of you always do that, but you just have to make a point of doing that. And everybody knows how often things change, right? I mean, I'm not telling you this for the first time. When we trained people last year and they filled out their availability, and a week later, 2 days later, they were calling me and their availability changed. So things change. Things change all the time. At the database training, we're going to be going over tutor availability a little more, because I think that that's a perfect thing for you guys to keep track of. So we're gonna show you a report on the database that will give you all your tutor contact information, so I don't always have to send it. This year I was always, downloading it and changing it and sending it. But now if you're gonna have access to the database, you can get the information yourselves with all the contact info. And one of the things I'm gonna suggest you add to that is tutor availability, you know, so you know when tutors are available, and, you know, you have enough of a relationship with your tutors to know that. They come to you and they tell you, you know what, my schedule changed, I can't come on Monday, I can come on Tuesday, you know? And doesn't make that much sense for us to have that, you know? Okay, so you have those sample emails. Did that, okay. Substitute tutors.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, of
Can you
course.
just, I would always recommend that you say, please RSVP that you received this email, because I can't tell you how many times people all of a sudden, you knew that they were always getting it, but then they didn't get it that week or
Okay,
something. So
okay.
just say, please, you know, I know you're all set, but just RSVP that you've seen this email.
Or I think there's a way that you, I think
Did
there's a
they
way you
respond
can
or
have,
They still don't.
50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a way you
Read.
can set up your email so that once it's been
You can
read,
see if they read
it
it.
will
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
you know, so then they don't have to do
Really?
anything.
In the red thing,
Oh,
it tells you if they've opened it.
okay.
You can or not, well, I don't know if
Either way.
No, that is true.
That's good.
So substitute tutors, this is not a perfect system by any means. There are a handful of tutors who only want to be fill-in tutors, who don't want to commit. So if we have that information, I will, if I know that someone only wants to be a fill-in tutor at Family Life, we don't have a way to put it into the database, but I will let you know that. So I will send you that person's contact info, and then you can add it to your spreadsheet. So you're gonna take that report in the database, we're gonna cover this at the database training, you're gonna make it in Excel, and then you can do what you want to it, you know, so it's gonna be very, very handy. So if someone only wants to be a fill-in tutor at your site, I will give you that information. The problem with subs is that mostly we have subs because they haven't been assigned to a site yet. So for us to give you a big list of all the subs and have all of you calling the same people, and then all of a sudden they're assigned to a site, and then I have to say, oh no, they're not a sub anymore. You know, once we can do this in the database eventually, you know, then we can have a sub list in the database, but we don't have that yet. So right now, if you need if there is someone who only wants to work at your site, I give you that information. I did that this year, right? People who weren't assigned to a regular student but only want to work there, I give you that information. But if it's someone who's willing to sub, who's available at Family Life in Lewiston and Evelyn, just call me and I'll try to get you someone. Schools, you know, it's harder to get tutors at schools. We don't always have a lot of spare tutors. So just call me and we'll do our best. And sometimes it's FICA knows and it's everyone knows. You try hard, you get a sub, and then the night of, things change and you didn't need the sub anyway, right? So sometimes it's not even worse. And it's hard to know. It's hard to know, right? So it's not a perfect system. If anyone has any suggestions about that, feel free. Okay. Tutor absences and tardiness. We talked about this last year, but and we talked about it earlier, so I'll just mention it again. And we know that these are volunteer tutors who have other jobs, so we don't want to be hard asses, pardon my language. So at the moment, we don't have a hard and fast policy in our policies. We don't have anything that says if you are absent more than 2 times in a month, you know, we don't have that. But what we did do is we put in writing what we feel is a reasonable policy for you guys to try to follow, which is that if someone's absent without notice, that should be immediately followed up with. If someone doesn't let you know that they're going to be absent, they're absent. You know, because that's just not nice, and they know better than that. So that should be followed up with. We feel that if someone is absent or late more than once in a month, so like the second time it happens in a month, because a month's only 4 weeks, and if half of that time they've either been absent or late, we feel that it's worth just a conversation with them. Does that seem reasonable to you? We are asking, I know it's tough, and we can have a conversation about it. We are asking tutors to come 15 minutes early for a reason. We want them to have time to talk to you about any issues, to talk to you about academic information, to take a look through the tutoring box, pull out any learning resource that they might want. So really their arrival time is 15 minutes before tutoring starts, and we're making that clear in the trainings. Jacqueline,
Another reason that it's really important they come early is it's going to help your student behavior problems a lot if the tutor is sitting down waiting for that student to come in rather than the student coming in, running around the room under the table waiting for their tutor to come. So that can really help just get the night off to a good start if all of your tutors are ready to go as soon as the kids come in. And also not to let the kids in until it's time for them to come in. So as much as the kids want to come in early, they see their tutors, give the tutors the time to look at the resources. You know, don't let the kids in early because again, it makes it a lot smoother of a night if, you know, you start on time and everyone's there.
Well, this is probably just, I think because the Raymond School is the only one that has the early release or the earlier
Yeah.
dismissal. And so it was like Zara would just go from the pre-tutoring activity then right, so she really didn't have time with any of the tutors.
And at the schools, the site coordinators don't have that 15
Oh,
minutes
gotcha.
to talk to the
Oh.
tutors
But
because
they-
they are with the kids.
But we still want the tutors to arrive. And I think we need to
Yeah.
say that want them to arrive 15 minutes before tutoring starts, because
Right.
when we say early.
No, we don't say early.
We say before
Yeah.
tutoring.
We say that their
That's
arrival
what they
time
said.
is 15 minutes before tutoring starts. We do not say
Because I
early.
think that they
Yeah.
feel like they still have that 15-minute window of play, that if I get there, if I'm supposed to be there at 6:30 and I get there by, I mean, if I'm supposed to be there at 6:15, but tutoring doesn't start to 6:30, my kid's usually late, I mean, people start to get that attitude, so we have to just be really clear that we expect them to still be there, and, you know, we will work to get their students there on time, but it's really, we want them to be there, and it's also a trigger point for trauma for students to come in and their tutor not to be there. It's like that sense of like, you know, that disappointment, and it's that sense of loss, you know, that unpredictability. And when I see tutors coming in on the fly, I'm a tutor that comes on the fly because I run late too. So I would always think, well, I'll get there, but it's a whole other ballgame when you come in the same time that your student comes in and you're trying to catch your breath. And also those tutors should really be looking at the resources. They should be going over there, touching, feeling them. There's all kinds of wonderful things that Jackie's prepared that they should be pulling out, the little dice games that tells you what to do. And tutors should assume, you know, just that the kids don't have homework and just always have something planned. And they might never get to that particular thing, but they should always just be digging into the resources. And there's enough resources that they wouldn't be bored if they come for that, that 15 minutes prior to the start of the student coming in.
It's also a good time for them to look over the academic information too, which is
Oh,
very
yeah.
difficult to do during the tutoring session. So there is a reason that we want the tutors there 15 minutes before tutoring starts.
Okay, student absences and tardiness, again, we all know that this is a problem. So we have the student registration materials this year. We have an extra document in there. Last year it was just a one-page handout where we told parents what we were expecting. This year we made it an agreement that it's gonna be part of the registration materials that they sign. And that's one of the reasons we want you to register the parents, is to really make it clear to them what the weekly commitment is. You know, maybe if they can't make the weekly commitment, then maybe it's not, the correct program for them. Because the way we're set up right now is we match one tutor to one student. And, if the student isn't coming regularly, it's really not fair to that tutor. And maybe we want to revisit one-on-one policy one of these days. But at the moment, that is the way we are set up. And that is how we describe ourselves, that, it's one tutor, one student. So we have this agreement that says that the kids are going to behave, and that the parents will be called if the kids, don't behave. And it also says that parents will be called if the student is absent or late more than twice a month. That's what the policy says. So as far as finding out who's absent, everybody knows that that's really tricky. We're asking, we always have asked, and we're going to continue to ask the shelter to let us know in advance. So we're asking parents to let the shelter staff know, and then the shelter staff is going to be told to call you guys, right? That makes more sense. Last year, we didn't do this as much. We kind of had them call us and then we called you. It makes sense to have them call you directly. At the schools, one of your responsibilities is to call the schools, as Myra knows, call the school Tuesday and Thursday morning to find out who's absent. That way you can call the tutors to let them know. The hotels, this doesn't apply because it's not as rigid and it's just who comes, you know. But going back to the school, so the tricky thing about the school is that if a kid is absent, it's easy. What's not easy, Myra? It's not easy when the parent comes and picks the kid up without
Right.
telling anybody.
And it's 5 minutes of the tutor's on their way.
Yeah,
And
right.
you can't get in
Right.
touch with them.
So we're going to have that same parent agreement for the schools, and one of the things in that parent agreement is we're going to tell them that if that happens, that they have to, and this is a question I have for you. I was going to have them notify me because I just think it's easier than having to tell each parent who to notify. So that and that's what I did last year too, that they
Right.
should call me
Yeah, I think that's good.
and then
Right.
I let you
Right.
know. And I mean, we asked them to do this last year. This year it's going to be a document that they actually sign. We'll see if there's any improvement.
Right.
But so that's the system. Yes.
So at the shelters, you ask them to call you if someone's not going to be there?
So we actually do ask the shelters to let us know. Family Life does not do that because
No, I wouldn't expect.
They
'cause
did it
But some
twice with me.
who did?
I
No,
said
but
they
I-
did it twice for me.
No, that's, I just feel the way it's so chaotic there.
Yes. No, I know.
So I
I
understand.
think we have to do it on
On a case-by-case
side-by-side basis, and
basis.
also, if you think it's feasible to call the site beforehand, Norwell was very good about it. Norwell did a roundup in the late afternoon and always called us and told us and gave us a
But
heads up. I
even
mean, not
after they
always.
called and checked, sometimes the families would.
That's correct. That's correct. I think that you guys should see what works and what doesn't work. I know Terry down at Harbor House had instituted a system where they were calling her by a certain time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But as you say, even things, if they were supposed to call her at 5, between 5 and 6:30,
And they
things can
did.
change. So you guys really, it has to be a site-by-site decision. But the way the system, what we're asking is we're asking parents to inform shelter staff, we're asking shelter staff to inform you, to call you directly, and they'll have
And if
your
they miss
contact
twice in a month,
information.
we call parents.
So our policy says if they're absent or late more than twice in a month, we would like the parent to be notified. At the shelters,
Can I,
yeah. At the shelters, we recommend, oop, did I skip something? At the shelters, I don't know where I put, I have it later. I have this later, but at the shelters, we recommend that you speak to the staff at the shelters instead of calling a parent directly, that you speak to the staff first.
No, I
At the
understand.
school,
oh,
there's
yeah,
no
the parent's
staff.
number.
No, it's
and
not
it-
even that.
And
It's
it's
not
not
even that.
appropriate.
It's not even that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Most of
Yeah.
the parents, most of the parents are just so, you know, they're at loss themselves. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times they're not the ones, they're the ones who a lot of times the kid wants to come and the parent will say, no, you're gonna go to the mall with me. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying,
But
so
that's where the shelter staff has to step in and
Oh,
have
no,
a
no, that's what
conversation
things-
with that parent
yeah.
and say, you know what, if you continue to
Yeah.
do this, the student can't
No,
be in
no,
the program.
no. This is how it goes. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
understand that. But that's why most of the staffs are social workers and they're dealing with all this.
Yeah.
So one thing just to point out is that the Family Life Center and the Lewison is operated by Old Colony Y, and I'm saying this to Karen in the hallway, is that those are level 4 chronic homeless families that are in that site. The Y is specifically given those families because they have more support system for those families, and those families stay for longer periods of time. And so that it is a different population. Sometimes we have parents that are more engaged than others, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer to earn the trust. The parents are dealing with so many different providers and therapists and people coming in and out that we're one more thing. And it's one more appointment that they have to get their kids to. And they have so little control over their schedule if a parent, so we just, again, back to the original tutor trainings, that we can't really judge, or we want the kids to get there, we want them to be there as often as possible, we want them to be on time. But it's when you're having an issue with a regular situation with a family, it's really important to talk to the shelter staff so that they can intervene. And sometimes maybe the kids won't be able, you know, we don't want to punish the kids because the parents aren't.
Yeah, no, that's what I
together.
think. I let a lot of things go. Like I said, I usually don't, I don't usually cancel tutors because there's usually someone else who maybe is only seen one day a week. One little girl said, "Oh, can I come again?" And so that's how I just say that's,
And
I
if you
just
have a site
flexibility.
that large, if you, instead of canceling a tutor, you know that probably you're gonna, if you have 20 tutors that come
Yeah.
in at night, it'd be better to keep that.
Yeah, you know
And
that.
you could
so
even
I
say
just,
to
I just want
them,
you know, at least now you know that
Yeah.
we never cancel a tutor.
Right.
Because I'm like, there's someone there's someone who would love to have one-on-one time with an adult.
It's
So-
not always, it's not true with every site, for example,
Yeah.
like a site, like you can't do that. If the kid doesn't come, and the tutor's gonna sit there.
Yeah. So,
Okay,
anyways.
so, communication with School on Wheels. So Jackie and I both oversee you guys. I am the operations director now. I have the primary responsibility for your supervision. Any communications to us, we like you to copy both of us. And that way we both know what's going on. But I am the primary person, so if you ever don't know who to call me or email me. But again, if you email both. And I do logistics, scheduling issues with tutors. Jackie, as the education director, is responsible for many more things than are
The
here.
kids.
As far as the the tutoring session, it's all the student academics and even the student behavior, because she's devised this whole behavior plan. She's going to do a whole training, trauma training, and student behavior. So really, those issues will be handled by Jackie. But we both like to be in the loop. So site coordinator reports to both of us, emails. Or emails, copy both of us. Phone calls, again, use your judgment. If you call Jackie and Jackie says, you know what, this is more a Robin issue, it's okay, or vice versa. And I say this on every page. We are here to support you. Never hesitate to contact us, okay? You'll see I repeated this a lot of times in this PowerPoint, okay? Really, because we are here. And
One
if
last
we're not
thing.
here, Cheryl Opper is here, yes.
Don't worry about how many emails I get.
Yep.
I mean, at least for me, I'm sure Robin's the same.
Yeah.
Because if you're not sure, just put my name on it, and I'll look at it and decide if it's something I need to read or not. But don't feel like you're ever sending me too much, because that's what we got to do.
Right.
And sometimes we've had, like, if you have a problem at a site and you wanted to just check in that night rather than waiting for a site coordinator report, sometimes I've had people call Robin and leave a message for Robin. If they couldn't get her at that minute, then they call me, and it's fine, that everybody, we're happy, because then we make sure that we're all talking with each other so that we know we want to know what's going on, because then we want to be able to talk to the school or the staff and to resolve the issues quickly and to make sure that it looks like we're all on the same page, so.
Okay. This is a little bit of an aside. Student success stories. We always want to hear about things that students are doing, students, what we call student success stories. We like to share it with our community, we like to share it with our funders, we just like, to share that information. And I know I emailed you guys last year a lot of times trying to get it. So we don't want to institute any firm thing on it now. Maybe next year we'll actually put something where we are going to ask you for a story once a month, but we didn't want to overburden you this year. But it shouldn't be that difficult, and it's also fun. I mean, you want to hear these stories. So make sure you're talking to your tutors about their students. If something comes up on the site coordinator report, there's a place right there, general comments. It says list any highlights. So you can put it right there, or call us, or shoot us an email, because we like to put it in our newsletters and Cheryl's letters out to funders. You always like to say things. So, and again, it should be a fun thing for fun information to be gathering. So just to have that on your radar screen.
You can also encourage your tutors
Yeah.
to write the stories and share them with you, and then you can share them with us too, because they might have a really great story. Maybe you can ask them, oh, can
You
you
could
put
put
that
that in your
We'll
weekly
put that
emails.
in.
Anybody
Email
have
and-
any stories they'd like
That's
to
a good
share?
idea.
Because, yeah, I think that they do get
I'm-
excited, and sometimes you're so happy about your story, and then you want to brag about it and talk to somebody, and other tutors certainly would enjoy reading it.
Okay,
Can I say
communication.
something? Male tutors don't usually like to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of that.
They got a
Because,
job,
okay.
they go in and
Yeah,
do
they don't
my
want to,
job.
I'm just,
Yeah.
they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Because some of my male tutors have some of the best kids,
Yeah.
and they're like Jimmy O'Sullivan. I'm not going to get him a gush about anything.
Yeah,
so.
Okay, so we've touched on this, but so communication with program partners. Again, you guys are going to be the primary contact person with program partners for anything that arises. And I mentioned before, we'll give you a contact list with all the contacts on it, including the higher ups as well as the staff on site. Again, and I think I say this in the next slide, we are here for you, so if there's anything that you're uncomfortable with, just call us and we'll talk it through. The next exhibit in here is, we have 2 program partner agreements, one with the shelters and one with schools. And we're going to be going over this at our program partner meetings. So maybe go home, get into bed, read over the agreement, see if there's anything you think we missed and that we haven't addressed, because we really do, we want to make it clear what we're doing and what we're expecting of them. We really kind of want to make it clear to them. So if you read it over and you see that we're missing something, that we can add it.
This is kind of random, but I'm just thinking about the buses.
Yeah.
In the evening, so that many of the students are at the shelters or motels.
It's mostly motels. The kids that come
So
to
the bus-
the school programs, it's hotels and transitional apartments at
Okay.
sites.
So will there be a staff person there to greet the little ones, like say kindergarten age, first grade?
Well, somebody
or
has to pick
parents?
them up,
Or
yeah.
Their guardian.
So
Or whoever they've given permission to on the
Will the
bus.
bus takes them,
They
once
take
we,
them place to their apartment or to
Okay.
the hotel. So
and
there's
there's
no
somebody there waiting for them?
Or they
So
stay on the
one-
bus, yeah.
Or
they
once
don't,
we
yeah.
figure out, once
Okay.
we
And we
figure
have
out
2 paid staff.
where the
We have a
buses are
paid
going.
bus monitor from School on Wheels that is
Oh.
on the site to make sure. So when those kids get on
Okay.
the bus, we have to make sure that they get home and they're picked
Right.
up by the person who's supposed to be picked up. So
Right, okay.
So once,
really well monitored.
we're gonna have some of the site coordinators do the bus monitors. Once we work that out in the bus, it's still a little early yet to figure that out, but we will, yes, and
I
I'm
know some of the
be
tutors did
developing-
volunteer to ride the bus with Zara, because there were actually 2 buses, I think, from the
Yeah,
region.
2 buses,
yeah.
we're probably
So we
gonna have 2
one
buses
paid
again.
person and then we ask the volunteer.
Okay.
And the paid person's the one that has the cell phone, is calling the parents. The parents aren't there because we might stop at a stop, the parent might not be there, and then lots
Last
of
year,
phone
actually,
calls happen to.
when we went down to the smaller buses, we actually only had 1 staff person on the bus because two didn't fit. But it
Right.
gets a little complicated because we have to figure out where the buses are gonna start from, because we always have to make sure that there's a person at that first school. So we're not gonna be able to figure this out till a little bit later.
I
But
was
once
just
we
more
do that,
concerned about who's there
On the
waiting
other
for the
end.
child.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
so that's part of the registration materials, is that they know that they have to be at the bus stop, or they tell us who else is a person who's allowed to do
Right,
that.
that was my other, right,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, that's part of the paperwork for the schools,
Okay.
which is not
And
even.
do I get
part
like
of it.
a photo?
You won't, yeah, but
You
are you
won't
gonna
need
ride the
to.
bus?
Yeah, she's gonna ride the
Yes.
bus.
Oh, you're
You're
gonna ride the
gonna
bus.
get a list of who's allowed to
Okay,
pick them up, and one of the things that we ask is that you look at their ID, so you know if
Okay.
So
they're
they
the
have to
person.
have an
Okay.
ID that
Right.
says.
And there's
that
only
they're
like
because
a-
they could say, I'm the father,
Do
or
the-
Yeah.
not the father.
Do the
Okay.
students
But
that
there's
come
something on there
to
that says
the
that,
program
you know,
that's
the mother
immediately
signed
the
this
tech,
person
do they
consent,
just,
and then
or
they have
can
to
they
show
participate in the
some
school
kind of
program as
identity
well?
and
Because they
say-
are
Yes.
tough. That's what I was wondering. I was here
Yes.
to say that
We
they
had
have
some
no
overlap,
fun.
yeah, we
Okay.
had overlap last year,
Okay.
yeah.
It's-
We did.
sounds
That was kind of
scary.
fun, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm putting this all together.
Yeah.
I'm trying it. I like puzzles. Okay.
Is that right next to the Quality Inn?
I don't know. Super 8 Lincoln.
The Westgate Super
Okay.
Westgate.
Not really.
Yeah, so they could just
You
like,
have
oh, we're not Quality Inn.
questions?
You're not the Holiday Inn anymore, though, are you?
Share anything you want.
No,
One
I
time
was
I
just
used to-
saying
I used
because
to
we
tutor
have that
Holiday
and
Inn, and there
actually
they could just
sometimes
walk
we
Right,
have
there was a,
over.
right.
custody
She said they never
issues
do
and
that.
mental health
Hotels, I
issues.
said, right, back in my day,
Um,
they went
so
down.
if you
Yeah,
because
Quality
of an
Inn,
incident
yeah,
that
I
happened,
Oh,
Did
the
you
stuff
go there
is-
too?
not in
No,
our
but I
programs,
worked for School
but,
on Wheels as a site coordinator, and you know, the central team.
we just make sure that on the emergency contacts list what kind of ID they're gonna bring in, like a license and their license number. Just to make sure it's genuine, you know, and not just some ID that says, you know, cause certain people will know Uncle Joe always, he's gonna put his brother down or he's gonna put his sister down.
So what kind
That's
of ID?
why
Okay.
we do
We don't
that.
have that, we just say ID.
Yeah, 'cause some people use passports if they don't have driver's licenses, they
Yeah.
use a passport or.
So
My
again,
passport's good, it has that picture.
Yeah.
Right, that's what
Usually
I
you
want.
don't
I
carry
want
them
photos.
around.
I have mine in my
I would
wallet
want
right now,
photos
so
too.
I don't know why.
again, with program partners, always feel free to call us or email us for guidance, assistance. If there's something that you want us to know, but you don't think it warrants an email or a call, you can just include it on the site report. Because we do kind of wanna, we don't have to know every little thing, but we do, you know, if things come up, we kind of want to be aware. So when Lila says, oh, I heard that, you know, we kind of want to be in the loop, like.
Let me just give you one
Yes,
example.
give an example.
So I went to the Horizons for Homeless Children's conference I think that was back in May, and I saw a bunch of the Y staff that we work with at the conference, and so I was talking to one of the ladies and asking her how things were going, and you know how things were working with tutoring, and she said, oh great, she's like, I still can't believe that, you know, this little boy bit the site coordinator. We had no idea because the site coordinator didn't put it in the report or fill out an incident that, you know, she just thought it was like, oh, not a big deal or whatever. We want to know those kinds of things, so when
That is a
something
big
like
deal.
that gets brought up, it's not a big surprise. But yeah,
That would need to
we
be
do
addressed
like to
right
know
away.
what's going on, and something like that really should have probably an incident report filled out. But just to give you one example, so please keep us informed.
Yeah. Now, don't be worried about being bitten because I've been
I think that's
15 years,
like,
I've never been
yeah, I've
bitten.
never heard of anyone getting
I've
bitten
been
before.
bitten,
Yeah,
but it
but
happens.
yeah, that
and-
would need to be addressed right away. I mean, if that happened, you would want to go get
Oh,
the
yeah.
program,
No, I know,
shelter
yeah.
staff. I don't think it would happen at the school, but there's somebody within the school that should be able to help address it and then, yeah.
Well, now they have you go to the emergency room and stuff like that. So I won't get into that whole thing, but you know what I'm saying.
But the
So,
whole OSHA thing.
If you break the skin, that because,
well, a lot,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
yeah.
Well, actually, that's one thing just to bring up. At the site, you're always using universal precautions, just like you do in the school. So that's maybe just something you should always say, and you should probably supply that at the site. That there always is like some sort of solution there, or to get the site program, that the staff is there. You know that you have gloves and you have something to spray, and paper towels always ready, because in the school sites always, that's a big thing if you're a teacher, universal precautions. But you really need to do that, I think, even at your at all your sites,
That's a great thing.
because just to cover yourself.
Yeah.
Because the kid, so once in a while, for kids' bloody nose, then I would go get this. So then it's like, you have to you have to spray it, and you can't have any of the tutors' teeth. So that's like something like to just bring up in the
Yeah.
tutor training.
Yeah.
That should be
So-
something that's handled by the staff if you're at a
At the
shelter
shelters,
site.
that's
Yeah,
our-
not really, but just I would
Yeah.
think just for you, just because of like, even as a
Emergency.
sub, that just to say, okay, you know what I mean? Like, no, if some kid is bleeding or something like that, you just, you don't touch it all, and someone from the staff, or even if it has to be the site coordinator, puts on gloves, sprays it with a bleach
Just so they know the
solution.
protocol, like what's.
Yes,
if
Yeah.
this
yes.
So
happens,
right,
this is what
we're
you
gonna
do.
go
Yeah.
over the policies in a few
Yeah,
minutes.
but just, I don't think you
Yeah.
have a policy
Well,
like that, and you
what
probably
we-
should just look into
For
it,
the
so.
shelters, what we recommend is that we tell the shelter staff, as Jackie just said, that
Yeah.
is what our protocol is. And at the schools, we have a first aid kit at each of our schools.
At the schools, I would get a custodian, because at the schools, I know when I was teaching in Brockton, we were not allowed to touch anything. We had to get a custodian to come down and do all of that. Even with the gloves and everything, they did not want us anywhere near.
Yeah.
Well, you know
that's
what,
true.
when
And there's always custodians at the school at that hour.
we're gonna look at the policies in a few minutes, and maybe we can.
And we're
revisit
getting ready
this.
to meet with our program partners, so this is perfect timing, because
Yeah.
this is something that we will address at our program partner meeting. Because wonder if there wasn't somebody on site and we couldn't find somebody and a child is bleeding. I mean, we wanna make sure that there's gloves there for the site coordinator that they could use and take care of it until they could get,
And are your site coordinators first aid trained?
Exactly. That's something that
CPR
I remember. We've
first aid
talked
training.
about this
So
in the
yeah, we talked
past.
about that too, yeah, I've talked about that too.
I have a note at the
Jackie,
very
so-
end of the training, I was
is
gonna
that I
mention
think
that.
that we should be first aid trained and CPR.
But that's kind of, about the whole responsibility of that though too, you know what I'm saying, that's.
But if it's
um,
an emergency and you're the only person there, you have to be the first responder to,
No, I
to
know,
deal
I
with
know,
the
and then I know
children.
about the Good
So,
Samaritan law and
yeah.
stuff
Not
like
just
that.
the children.
yeah. Well, exactly.
You back tutors.
Exactly.
Who are
Exactly.
library.
Yeah,
Have
that's what
a
I
heart
was
attack. or a
Right.
stroke, they
Right.
gotta have a child have a
Right.
problem possibly. You know, we don't think of those things.
And
but-
first aid
Yeah,
kit,
like
we had a
I'm
first aid
first
kit
aid
at Concord
certified
House just
everywhere,
because I felt
automatically.
that we needed one, and I'm first aid and CPR
Are
trained.
they all
teachers.
required
You know,
to
it's-
have first aid?
Yes, like.
Teachers?
I don't know
Yes,
about
teachers.
the
Are
public
teachers?
Teachers,
in
no.
the
No.
public schools
No.
required to
because they have
first
the
aid
nurse.
CPR training?
After
Oh,
school,
they have the
staff
nurse.
has to be
I
CPR
have been
trained.
when I worked for private
Okay.
schools, I have.
I worked
That
in
was
an independent
dropped.
school and we had
That
to
was
be
part of,
trained.
yeah.
So if we set that, I mean, I think that we talked about this because I brought up the CPR more than the first aid. But is that we talked about then we would require, that would be part of the thing before we hire our site coordinators moving forward, is that they show the CPR certification, so.
Right, but you're supposed to be getting it every 2 years recertified.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So do you think that if it's something, I mean, if we set it up and we offered it,
Oh,
if you guys
definitely.
would be interested in doing that?
I'm currently trained and I do it every year just because
And how do you do it, through the hospital or?
no, I've done it through the school where I worked,
Mhm.
and now a friend of mine has her own little school, and I just piggyback with
Yeah, we do.
her
it too.
training.
Yeah, I get my staff.
So we can look into
Training.
setting that up for the site coordinators, and
There are people that come to you.
I know, if we have
Yeah.
enough people, I think you have to
Right.
have a certain
Right.
number of
Yeah.
people, but we
Right.
can
Yeah.
also get our other
So what
school
about the
members.
first aid training? Is there a combined training?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
Yes.
There's a
Yes.
combined.
And
And how
that'll
long is
cover
that
all.
training?
Generally, I do it, what?
Couple
Like
No,
4
that's not-
hours. It depends, because what they're doing now with the CPR is they're doing AED training at the same
Yeah,
time.
AED.
So I think it's like
Because
5
they're-
hours.
Yeah, it's pretty, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's
well,
the first aid
I think
is
it might
3
be-
No,
hours,
Robin.
and then it's 2 hours for the
But it's
And then the
CPR
thing
for the
is-
AED.
You're running into a lot,
Your
because like
blood
at the
work
schools,
pathogen.
teachers are
So
not
you, are you
supposed to
guys
be,
comfortable coming
teachers,
to that if we set
see,
that up and we
teachers
take with the
don't do it.
trainer?
It's just supposed to
and
be
if
the
there's
nurse.
I'd love
someone
to
you would
you get
need
into
to-
other
Yeah, but I'd love to be
legalities
able to
of
do
it.
it here, because
At
I
the
pay for
Y,
myself now.
Right, and
Yeah,
I
and
assume
I'm
it's just
saying that
the
we
Y
wouldn't be able
staff
to
has
pay you
supposed
for
to
your
do it.
time on
That's-
top of the trainer. I mean,
So
Yeah,
we
we
would-
I
no,
just
that's
want to
fine
tell
if
you,
you
because
can
she's
just
been
do
talking
it.
about that,
But I'm
but
saying
that's what
that
I
we would
think. It's
ask
the
you
Y
guys
staff
to
is
come
supposed to
and-
do
and
it.
we're
We
paying
weren't,
you
we aren't
today
supposed to
to
do
come
it.
to the
And
site
open it
Even
up
about the
to
universal
tutors,
precautions
treat
things,
volunteers,
I think
make
like
it-
here, he's supposed to do it.
that
So
one
those
too.
are just
We
things,
get
who's
that.
responsible
into it,
for stuff like that?
They usually
That's a great
charge
idea.
like $150 an hour and then $10
But like I
per-
said, even in
I
public
could find
schools,
somebody
they don't
to
want the
donate.
teachers,
Yeah, I
the
think-
teachers
I want you to
union.
repeat this for everyone. We actually,
Or some
that
people
Health
on board.
Imperatives was willing to do it at a reduced rate. But I want Teresa to just repeat what she said, because I think
No,
this
because
is
what
important.
my difference, because I've worked in both private and public schools.
Yeah.
Private, you, a lot of times again, I had to go through all that. I was restraint trained. Public schools, though, must mean the teachers are not supposed to do things like that. So there's like you know that there's certain like things that the regular teacher's supposed to do, and then there were the other staff were supposed to do. So it's really, I think it's because the legality of all this is really set up.
It's just at the schools. This is
They
something
had
to
a
be
nurse
discussed,
on
because at the
site.
schools, we're really on our, we're like
We're on
after,
our own.
we're on
Right.
our
You're a
own. We're like
separate
after
contractor,
school
you're a
staff at the
private
schools.
Right,
and
well,
we're
that's the
on
thing
our
you're
own.
gonna have to see, that's what you're gonna look into, is the
You're
rules.
thinking of liability.
Well, and also the separate contractors, you're not the only separate contractor there.
Right, we have the
Myra's and
smart
one,
schools
then there's someone
program.
else right next door, so you're gonna be following the same guidelines as the private contractors. That's what I'm just saying, right? Just my
Like, we
experience.
did
We
it on
can talk to
in-house,
Perry,
yeah.
I mean, we can talk, and we have
Yeah.
an HR person,
Yeah,
involved,
just,
legal.
yeah, just because I worked for so many different places, I knew it would vary what you're supposed to do.
No, I think that's a
So-
good
That's
point, and I
great.
think at the shelters, I think that the answer is that we should be having the staff take care of it as opposed
Right,
to
but
us.
a lot of times
That's
though, I
definitely
just wanna
true.
bring that up to tell the tutors, and I didn't mean to open up a can of worms
Yeah,
here.
no, no, no.
Cause I know it's like close to 4
No,
o'clock.
no, I know, it's okay. Okay, communication with parents, so we talked about this already. You guys can call parents, directly at the schools, that's what you'll do. At the shelters, it's recommended that you speak to staff before you talk to them.
You'd actually go into the office and use their phone and call them from the school office, or with your own.
If
call
it's
them with
something,
your
I
own-
mean, if it's, first of all, you have to, use your own judgment, but since you're a new site coordinator, you might just wanna call me.
Yeah.
And it's not always something that has to be addressed immediately, it
But
might
if it's
just
like,
be.
for instance, like the 2 absences a month, would I, bother the parent that day, or the child didn't come, or they're probably not home, if it's after school, they took the child?
I think after a couple of absences that you should call the parent, maybe in the evening, dinner time is always a
Yeah,
good time to
later
catch
on,
people.
okay.
Yeah.
But one thing and this is all new, because now, before it was always calling through a School on Wheels number or a School on Wheels
Right.
cell phone number. Don't forget, when you're using your home number or cell phone number, it shows.
Right,
And
right,
so
that's
I
smart.
don't
That's
think,
what I'm wondering.
I think that we need to talk about this more
very
out
smart.
and then come back to you. I
Okay.
don't expect anybody using their personal phone to call a parent, and I wouldn't want a parent to be called until we've been told. And so this is something that we have been out straight, going different directions, and the three of us have not sat down in the room before today's training to go over all of these little details. And so we need to clarify that.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
the
would say
important
at this point, you're not calling at the shelter, you're talking to the shelter staff to talk to the parent. And if it's the school situation, we will get back to you about that.
And what about on the buses?
At this
When-
point, you can just let Robin and Jackie know if there's any issue, behavioral or.
But it's only August 3rd, so hopefully we'll have an
Yeah.
answer by the time.
And on the buses.
We'll have an answer by
Yes,
I
but
mean,
people
we
aren't
have
gonna call and give their private numbers up, so it's now, we're looking at maybe getting a cell phone for them, or it doesn't happen enough. It
Right.
doesn't happen enough, so
Yeah.
that you would be calling, it's rare that you would be calling a parent, so, we can work that out, but my thing is I would say you go to the school phone and use the school phone before you leave the school, if you're going to call a parent.
Okay.
I don't
Maybe
know what
just
the
leave a
code is,
message.
but I know that there's something you can press into your phone so that your number is blocked when you call.
Oh,
That's true.
I know I have a blocked number and you do *82, so it might be *1.
I know it's star something.
It might
and
be
then it blocks your
*1
number.
and it blocks it.
That
Star
sounds
67.
right.
I think so.
*67.
We
That's
will,
Ask a kid,
Mine
Vermo.
had-
we will revisit this,
Yeah.
and
That's a criminal.
we have a lot more
I don't
training,
think
so
have
we
a
have a lot of
phone.
opportunities to
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
back to
Sorry,
you.
so, yeah.
We would have a
We have
phone
a
so
lot
that
of
we
time.
can, yes,
Okay.
yes.
I never
So if you
a
get to
block
the-
call, just 'cause I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I don't even.
What's that?
I would
Never
never
answer
answer
a
a block call, because there's so many scams out there and.
Oh, you're
I
talking
just-
about for the parent. First of all, a lot of the parents don't even have a phone, and if they do
Yeah.
have the phone, they run out of minutes, so you're not gonna be, we have a hard time trying to reach them too sometimes.
So the bus we are going to deal with later. It's way too early for the
Okay.
bus. And also, only a few people need to know that information. Lainey doesn't need to know the bus information. Okay, support to parents. Jackie already touched on this a little bit. So she's going to be doing some parent workshops this year. Do you want to tell about the parent newsletter?
Yeah. So this year we got 2 Commonwealth Core members that are going to be working with us, and the resource specialist who will be working under me, and the volunteer specialist working under Robin will be working to write quarterly parent newsletters, which will give the parents important dates, when tutoring starts, when it stops, any holidays, when the parent workshops are, things like that, as well as educational tips and strategies and some activities they can do at home and just different things like that. And then the assistants at parent-teacher meetings, I'm available to go to meetings. Robin and Cheryl are also available if I have too many meetings I need to get to. But we are available for parents if they would like assistance going to the meeting, even if they just want assistance preparing for the meeting. Any way that we can be supporting them with their child's education, we're here for that. And a lot of times parents don't know that. So, make sure that when you're talking to parents, if you hear them, oh, we got my parent-teacher conferences coming up, let them know. Oh, by the way, if you want, we have school meal staff member that can
That's
go with
awesome,
you.
because parents do get intimidated,
Yeah.
you know.
And it's actually on the form. It's a question on the form. Jackie kept track of that this
Yeah,
past year
registration
and
forms.
reached out.
We
We're
asked
going to
them
go
to
over it
write
in a
it.
minute.
That's awesome.
Jackie reached out to the parents this year.
Yeah,
So,
And also Jackie ran a couple of workshops about what questions they could ask at parent-teacher conferences, right? That was one of the
and this
workshops.
year I'm planning to actually meet, and it doesn't apply to school sites because the parents aren't there, but at the shelter and hotels I'm planning on coming to a tutoring session and being available for parents to sit down with me for 10 to 15 minutes to help them come up with the questions they want to ask at parent-teacher conferences and just help them prepare. So when that time comes around, I'll be at your guys' sites helping the parents prepare for that. So
I think, and Jackie had a really nice handout about, I went to a parent-teacher conference because Jackie had some other meeting booked, and so I took the list of questions. Now, this parent it was from a school site, and so this parent never got the information, but I said, I don't know if you're interested, but here's a list of questions. And he said, oh, this is so great. And you know how you're waiting outside for 10 minutes?
Mhm.
He said, oh, these are the questions I want to know about. So even if, I think we want to make sure, because the majority of parents are probably not going to sit down one-on-one with Jackie. So I think that we want to make sure that the parents get that handout some way.
It'll be in the
Is it going
parent
to be in the
newsletter.
parent newsletter?
And the other thing is that even if the parents at the schools, if you do, however, have communication with them, I'm still available to help them as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a little bit more difficult to get to see them.
But you know what?
I'm
we
available
could-
for all
We could
parents.
still send that parent newsletter home with our kids that are in the school program.
Oh, the parent newsletter is going everywhere. I was just talking about parent workshops. I can't do it at the schools because
Right, but
Other
you're saying
parents
in the
like
parent newsletter is gonna have the questions about parents going to, so that they'll still at least get that piece of information. And in that parent newsletter, you can say, contact Jackie if you'd like me to, or contact the school and wheels office, yeah.
No, I think the Y though has a social worker who just does the education.
Yeah,
Is that-
so
is
the
that
Y
true?
families, we do not go at this time to the schools.
Okay, because they have their own
Yeah.
social, because I do want to just bring up about, they say about contacting the teachers, because some of my, like, my most needy kids, like, for example, the twins, I know, you know, I wish they would, because the tutors, like, want to call the teacher,
Oh,
and I
no,
said, you really
never.
can't.
only
Never,
us,
yeah.
only senior staff. is allowed
Okay,
to
so anyway,
contact
so you know,
teachers.
so you know, we'll be in touch, because I have some really needy students, and
Well,
there's
but in
nothing
this
we can
case,
do.
The Y doesn't even like me to reach out to the teachers.
Okay,
so-
that's why I thought, okay.
Yeah, so the Y
Okay.
has a strict policy in
Okay.
regards to who can
Okay.
contact the schools.
So that's why I think.
So
okay.
we're still working on that,
Okay.
but they do have special people that are doing that.
Well,
But
if-
we're
okay.
still trying to make the communication more clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
But we
because
would
I
never-
rely
if-
things to
If a
them.
tutor ever asks for information from a school, then you can put that in your site coordinator report, and then Jackie can see if she has a signed release form. But we wouldn't want any of the tutors, because the schools, you know, it's really important that it comes from us, and at some point it might be
Mhm.
coming from you guys. At this point, it's still coming, but the school contacts is really Jackie's responsibility.
Well, I really just
Sometimes the
cover
tutors
people up.
know
Yeah.
the teachers, like they'll know
Okay.
the teachers in the school systems because they worked in them
Yeah.
currently or at one time. And so,
That's a little bit different.
yeah, it's hard, you can't
Would we
really
get the-
control that.
Yeah, you can't
Newsletter
control
too,
what's
just so that we
happening
know what's
outside of
going
it,
on.
but
Oh,
you
yeah.
could say our policy is.
And
I'll
yeah,
probably have you guys
confidentiality.
openly distribute.
Well, that,
Yeah.
I think I just have to want to say that, because some of my
Just keep
needy
checking this
kids,
to make sure it's.
you know, they're just, you know, it's just frustrating, so I like go and tell the staff what's going on with them, and, you know, just some of
Yeah,
them
what are you
really
talking
needy.
about? I'm sorry.
Well, I have like one little girl who has scabies, for example, so I go into even situations like that, you know what I'm saying?
And you
So-
talk to the staff about it?
The
and-
staff, yeah, and
Yeah.
then, yeah, so there's like ongoing, I think there's, but that's the whole other thing, I think there's, cases of neglect, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, what can you do? But, you know, some of my
If
my
you feel like there is a
tutors,
neglect though, so
That's
you know, so we just need to talk outside of here.
Yeah,
Joyce,
about
so because
that,
your
yeah.
issues, it's not that
No,
you
I
guys
s-
aren't having the issues, but we just, some of the things that you're saying,
Yeah.
I wanna make sure that we are all.
Yeah,
on
you're
the-
We
aware
have one of the
about.
policies we have.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so we'll talk about that later,
Yeah,
either
definitely.
another
Okay, so
time I can.
student
Yeah, definitely we can
registration
address, and we
binders.
should address.
Everybody will get a binder of the student registration forms in them. We like you to keep that, either take it home or keep it in a locked cabinet, because it's gonna have the academic information in it. When Jackie gets report cards and you get copies of report cards, we ask you to, you know, like, attach that to the student registration form. So we like that locked away. So the student registration binder will have the student registration forms, you'll put the academic info in there, it will have your tutor contact info. I think it's always nice, well, I guess you guys can do what you want. I always thought it was nice to have it in the binder, but I guess people on their phones, you know, maybe you keep your tutor info on your phone, so whatever works. But you definitely need your tutor info at the site with you, because, you know, you might need to reach out to your tutor. The program partners contact info I mentioned before. School calendar, Jackie put together a really nice calendar last year showing when all the vacation days were, so we'll do that again, that'll be in the binder. And then incident injury report forms. We're gonna go over that in a minute with our policies, but that's a good place to keep the completed one in that student registration binder, and there's a tab that says completed incident injury report forms, and that is for major things that happen. major things, injuries. We just want to document that. We want all parties to be aware of that, and it's in our policies. We're going to go through it
Just
in a minute.
Just really quick, academic information, I'm probably gonna end up emailing that to you so that you get it more quickly than having to wait around. So if you don't have a printer, or access to a printer, just talk to me after and we'll figure something out. But
Can I ask you, I know WB Mason's a funder, right? Could we get a 3-hole punch that actually works? I have one
Yes.
of those little tiny skinny ones.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes, you know,
Just-
it's shaking
just-
there.
If you need anything like that helps
Yeah.
you,
I around
just-
my house.
just-
it should just
Yeah,
go
right
right
under
under
the
the
slide.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
have
have
one
one
of those
that
little
works fine.
slide
Yeah, that's
little
what, right.
ones.
We'll,
Yeah,
we'll,
But we
can
need a decent
give you
one.
good ones, yeah.
I'm gonna use
Well, that's,
Yeah,
that's a good point, because if you're gonna have the registration form and you're gonna wanna
need
punch
to
it, so we need to bring, we
So
need
do
to
you
give that
want,
to
we could
every
have that
site.
on each side.
it should be on each site, cause I don't
Yeah.
think we like to, you know, we'd rather have the money go to the kids, but that is so labor intensive, you have to do one sheet at a time.
Oh.
And
Jackie,
it
is it okay
rarely
if
works.
we give each side a 3-hole punch? Yeah. Cause they're gonna wanna, hole punch their registration forms and put it in the binder. Okay, so perfect segue to student registration packets. So you will be the primary person to sign parents up, and as everyone knows, there's a lot of transition, you know. So we're gonna tell our program partner that this is our preference. It just is not a good system to leave it with the staff, because it's just too much chasing, and I think that we'll do a better job registering the parent. So the forms that are in the packet are here. The next document is the registration form, and this is only for shelters and hotels, not for the schools. So it's pretty short. It's pretty basic information, and we keep demographic information. So we really like them to fill all of this out. As I said before, we're doing Cape Verdean Creole, Haitian Creole, and we'll also do French and Spanish. But definitely French. Definitely Spanish. Maybe not French, but Spanish for Harbor House, and then Cape Verdean Creole and Haitian Creole. On the second page, the back page, it asks them about if they're interested in having someone accompany them on a parent-teacher conference. And as I said, Jackie kept a spreadsheet of all of this last year and reached out to all of the parents. They didn't always want her assistance. Even if they checked it, they didn't always want her assistance. But it's still a really good question to ask so that they know that that help is available. And then we actually took away the photo release. We used to have a separate photo release. We now put that on the registration form. So we want to make sure that when you sign them up, that they, under permission, they're giving permission for us to tutor their student, and then they're also doing that, giving permission for the photo release.
And for the photo release, if you're in a shelter, I would check with the staff after you have the parent fill it out, because sometimes there are parents that say it's okay, but the staff knows that it's really not okay to use their pictures. So after you do the packet, just double check with the staff and make sure that everyone's on the same page with the photos.
So, it's okay if Schools on Wheels takes their pictures, but not tutors.
Nope, just
Okay.
us.
Right, and that's part of our
Actually, the
policies.
site coordinators might need, do we feel that if the site coordinators took any pictures, they would send them to us? I mean,
I've never
So
taken a
why-
I
picture,
don't
but
say you
I
guys
have
have
had a
it.
kind of, it's about, you get kind of funny about with the tutors, because people now, you know what I
That's
mean?
so-
So I've just kind of distracted the tutors, but that
So
has
the
come up.
policies really say no photos.
yeah, no.
Okay, so then
We
just
say
give
that
more,
Never be taking
It's
a
just,
picture of a
it's
kid.
just us.
okay. So
Um,
again, if the tutor thing, just bringing that up again, because I think people would, they try to take pictures of the kids.
Well, I think that they, the thing is that they want a picture of their kid, or they're saying, they might say, take a picture of me and my kid and have another tutor take a
Right.
picture, but there should be no picture taken
Right, but that's
whatsoever.
what I'm saying, but that comes up.
Yeah,
so I
so
just
we
wanna
will
say-
say it here, but you have to understand, we're saying lots of things here, and it's up to you.
No, I
But
know.
that's in
As
our
a site
policies.
coordinator to just,
Yeah.
if
That
you
is
see that
in our
happening,
policies.
ask them to delete it
It's like,
and,
It's in
not
our
to have-
policies
they
and the
shouldn't have their
policies.
phones out.
We go through that at the tutor training.
Yeah,
know, that's
we're
one of
pretty
the-
strict about it.
Yeah.
it's like gifts, they're always trying to
I
sneak
know,
in those
I know.
wrapped gifts.
That's another
and
one
you
of
don't
our-
know what it is.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, they should
Okay.
not be bringing.
the next document is the consent from parents. Really important document. This allows us to get the academic information from the schools. And Jackie has to fax this to all of the schools in order for them to release the information. We really have not had any trouble having parents sign this. They, you know, if they're willing to enter the child in the program, they're willing to do this because they know it's for their benefit. You know, we get the academic information and it helps us. So we haven't gotten any resistance. If there is resistance, certainly, you know, we don't have to fight with them, but just make it clear that this, you know, works to their advantage.
So Jackie, if they put the child's school, it's not always in the same town. Wouldn't you want to put the town in there too? What's the town?
I
You
usually
haven't had
figure
any
it out
trouble?
based on the site they're at.
So on the form,
I haven't had any problems figuring it out.
it's also on the form, the school and the city are on the form.
Oh, okay, so they're putting that on there, okay.
Then on the back side of that communication consent is this new agreement that we've come up with. Now bear in mind that it's only August 3rd, so now between August 3rd and the end of September, we might tweak something, you know, maybe we'll look at something and tweak it. As Cheryl said, we haven't had the opportunity to really sit down and talk about everything in depth. So if we tweak anything, we will give you that updated information. This is the way the agreement looks right now. It's a new agreement, and we felt that we wanted to have like a separate agreement that the parents signed, just so it was clear to them what the expectation was. Last year, we just had it in the folder, and I think it wasn't emphasized enough. So that's why we're making it a separate document now that you'll go over with the parent, and then we ask that they sign. And it's really basic. We're not asking them to do anything out of the ordinary. It's just that the child will, you know, behave in an orderly way, and they'll come to tutoring with their backpack. They'll be on time. They won't be absent a lot. And then also we put something in there that we're encouraging the parents to come to parent workshops. This will be a different agreement for the school. The school parents will get an entirely different agreement because theirs will have to address the bus issues, and that's not finalized yet. So that is, that's not. Next document, student interest survey. Jackie, you want to talk about this? This is a new form that Jackie has devised, and when we sign kids up, we want to get this information from the kids so that we can give the tutors a heads up about the student. Do you want to add anything to that?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
This is.
If you have any ideas or suggestions
Yeah,
or
that's
anything
fine. I like
that should
this
be
a
added,
lot
just let me know.
Yeah, me too.
We did this at the Quality Inn, part of the sign up. Before, we weren't doing the registrations at the Quality Inn, so in lieu of a registration, we had an information form that we developed last year that had this on it. So I think it's a great idea, and it's going to be included in the packet. So when we go to the shelters, we're going to get this from the kids.
And
So
then we'll be giving it to the tutors so that they
Right.
have it.
It can go in their little
It
box.
can go in
maybe.
the folder,
boxes.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
tutoring box.
So this is being done before,
This is
When
going to
they
be done
registered.
when they register. So that'll be part of the packet. So a new family, it should be done with a new family
so
too.
so the student and the parent is sitting there as you register them.
Not always.
So we haven't really talked about this. We can talk
But
about it.
you're gonna
This is-
talk,
Yeah,
okay, you're
I mean,
gonna
this
set
is
the
a new-
date,
No,
okay.
I'm saying we can even talk about it now, because in the past, we've only had the parents when we register. So now we are gonna have to also have the student, because it would be nice to have it done at the time as opposed to giving it to the parent and then they go away, we'll never get it back.
Why can't we just let the tutors fill it out the first
So
time?
we can
That's a nice
substitute
icebreaker.
the adversaries.
Yeah, because I think the kids are gonna be running
And you want the
around.
tutor to be, because it's not just what's written on here, it's the dialogue around
Right.
what is on
I
here,
love
that
it.
it's the very richness of the tutor and the student feeling that out together. I
So we
totally-
had talked about that, and do you want to feel that we had gone around on that, and you seemed to think
The only
it was a-
reason why I
Yeah.
thought it would be nice to do beforehand is if we had the information, then you could give it to the tutor once they were assigned. So before they went for that first night, they had information about their student, because a lot of tutors are always asking who
Yeah.
that person is and everything.
Right.
So that was the only reason that I had it with the registration and not the first night. The other reason you don't want to do it really with the first night is because you have two different tutors, so then the kid's going to fill it out twice.
Right,
That's
that's good,
true,
you can't
too.
do that, yeah.
I would think you could do it
Point.
twice though, you could ask the parents some of this info. and then they could use it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the parent. Oh, what does your son like to be called? Oh, he likes to be called, we call him Blessing. You know what I'm saying?
You could do the parent interest, I mean, it could be the child interest survey, and you could ask those questions.
See, my
because that-
my
like,
child,
what's the child's least
my
favorite
child, yeah.
subject?
So ask them what the parents think about this person, and then it just says, what do you think?
It just takes,
Well,
the
I'd
thing is,
rather
it takes a
kids
lot of
do
time,
it.
but I'm telling you what, those kids are not gonna be standing there with the parents, and I'm assuming we're
Yeah.
gonna give out the backpacks the night of the registration to get,
Yeah.
that's the draw, to get the parent
Okay.
there.
Oh, yeah,
So if the
yeah.
kids know that the parents,
Yeah.
so the kids are gonna get their backpacks, they're gonna be crazy, taking everything out and
Yeah.
excited. So I think realistically, this is
They're
not
not,
gonna
yeah.
happen.
But you asked, I didn't
Okay.
even see, you asked though what languages the child speaks, right?
On the other form.
Yeah, so that's
the
all that really
registration
matters,
form.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that the shorter, and we tried to
Yeah.
shorten it because the parent survey, we felt, I mean, before there was a lot of questions on here that we've tried to take away from the
We
parents,
used
so
to
it's
ask a
A
not.
lot of
lot
parents
about,
don't even speak
about
English,
academic
so-
history and,
Yeah.
and we're not.
How
Like
many
schools
schools
and
and
profile.
how many times did they
No, we
move?
used to ask like, how many times they moved, did you have to change schools when you moved, and we asked a lot of questions and we cut all of that out.
We
But
do-
anyway, so we can talk about this, but I think it probably makes more sense not to include that.
Yeah, because you say you
Can I
have
just say,
translators
can
there,
we
right?
do, like, a
Is that what you said? You have
development profile
translators
you
there?
guys fill out?
No.
And some important
Getting the
questions
forms
are,
translated.
what are some key-
Oh,
The documents we
Okay,
have.
well, you know what I'm saying, some of my,
Yes,
my
yes.
parents saying you have translator there.
Yeah, you can talk to Jackie about, and Robin about that too, so, or you could give that, just send
Just
that
because
along.
it gives us their perspective on caring for their children when they're in
The one nice
time.
thing about, if you did do that, did you say that out
Say
loud?
it again.
So we always do a developmental profile and we ask questions so that we can get some insight, especially in a multicultural group, about how parents feel their child needs to be cared to or responded to. What are their favorite songs? How did they like to be comforted? Are there any triggers we need to know about? Just things like that. We like to know their favorite song, just because
I think we should.
it's almost like.
We'll bring this back and we'll talk about
Yeah.
this and.
But some of
I
that's
think
too
those are-
much.
it might
Yeah,
be-
you can
and
just
yeah.
pick out the best pieces. You can go on the EEC website
Yeah.
and just download a developmental profile, Jackie, and just take what you like out of
And
it.
I think it's okay for tutors, if they have two different tutors, to do it two different times, and sometimes the kids might come up with different answers. But then to put both sheets into their folder, because then I think it's a great thing to have, to look at. And we might even look at doing it at the end of the school year and to see if anything had changed for that student. That might be fun, for them to go back and look at
Right.
what their
We might have a
favorite
new-
song, or new board game, or new least favorite subject might have been math or reading, but now they love it. So it might be fun for them to watch.
Developmental profile.
Yeah, but I would definitely do that with the tutor first night.
Okay.
And then put it
Should
in
be
the
a
folder.
Good
Yeah,
suggestion.
I bet you will.
Okay, so most of this we went over. You'll have the packets, and we really ask that you do the registration. And we really want to try not to have them come on the schedule till we have the registration. Let's see how that works. In the program partner agreement, I added a thing that says that they will help us fax the registration materials to the office. They all have fax machines. That shouldn't be hard, and that's a really easy way to just get it to us. Then you have it. We don't have to bring you back a copy. And if it is problematic to register a family, of course, program staff can help if necessary. But I think we should try to be the person.
Now, if you have
person
a
that does it.
tutor that wants to come both nights, can they be with the same student?
Yes, usually if a person wants to come both nights, we usually try to put them with the same student. Yeah, that's what
As
we
long as the
usually.
student's happy with it too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say, because we
Yeah.
did that, and one student felt like he was really, we didn't realize that he wasn't thrilled about the tutor to start with, and then the other kids all get two different people that really care about
Well,
them.
and yeah, I did have someone, and she was good because she was a lifesaver with the preschoolers. But
Yeah,
if their tutor was absent, obviously I put her with the child. She was fabulous. But
yeah.
I wondered about that because the other tutors kind of noticed and said, "Why doesn't she?" But I think it's nice.
If it
to
works
change
for the
it up.
child and for the tutor, then it's fine, yeah.
Okay, the next document is School on Wheels services. That's a part of the packet. We like them just to know what all of our services are, so you can just briefly go over this with them. One of the things we do is backpacks and school supplies, and we do try to to get backpacks and school supplies to everyone. So if a new student comes into a shelter and we sign them up, we automatically give them a backpack. But that's a good thing, just in case, you know, someone really needs a backpack, they can tell you that, and then you can tell us that, and we can let them know. So just so they know what the scope of the School on Wheels services is that if they have an older child, that we work with high school students in our High School Plus program. And if you need more information about something when our new website launches, hopefully you can get the information from the website, or else you could just call us if you don't feel like you have
Are we
enough
gonna
information.
continue to take preschool children at our shelter?
We're not doing preschool, we're starting at kindergarten. Thank you for saying that.
Okay.
Across the board.
Across the
we're doing that.
board.
And the decision was really made for many reasons, but the first is that Horizons for Homeless Children is in every site that we're at.
Right.
And that is specifically geared for 0 to 6 years of age. And it's learning through play, and we felt that Jackie was gonna have to design a specific training just for pre-K tutors. And the tutors, and we're getting frustrated, the kids can't really stay for the hour. We were really trying to make so many accommodations, and the need is so great for what we're doing, and it's like we're trying to do everything for every age group. And so we felt like our focus, and the K through 12 is really the Indianapolis and California School and those programs always been K through 12. I'm a preschool teacher, and I could see that the young kids weren't ready for kindergarten, and as a kindergarten teacher, I thought we need to be working with these kids. So, but the kids are learning both increasing their vocabulary, color, sounds, numbers through song, through play, through what they're doing with their Play Pal program volunteers.
Yeah, and to your point, they would get confused because they would want to be into the Horizons for Homeless stuff when we were there, so it was very
And so
confusing.
for a 4-year-old,
They're
we
so
say, no,
young.
tonight you're gonna sit and
It's very
meet one-on-one.
difficult.
That means-
Very
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah. But that's, I'm glad you said that, yeah. One other thing, what are we gonna do in regards to, like, if you have a new student, are the site coordinators gonna have extra backpacks that they can give? Are we gonna leave them at the program sites?
I know for Harbor House, I worked it out with the shelter that we actually keep some backpacks down there
On
in
site,
each age
okay.
group. And I figure we could do that for the normal site as well. The other sites are close enough that I don't think it would be
Yeah.
a problem to run and drop one
Right.
off.
Okay,
Good question. Okay. Are there any questions about anything we've covered so far? I'd like to launch into the policies, and I think maybe the employee handbook and the employment agreement, maybe we won't do that
Right.
today. But I think that we can do everything else, and that we can save, and that's easy, you know, we're just gonna like sign that and stuff, and we're seeing each other enough that we can do that another time. Okay, so are we good? We're gonna launch into policies, and we did try to put a lot of things in writing, but if there's more things that we need to put in writing, we will, and I think things have come up today about, what is it called, universal precautions?
Okay, yeah, no,
A
I
term
just,
I never
yeah, I
even
just,
heard.
no, I just wanted
Yeah,
to bring
no,
that
I
up
think-
for
I
staff.
think that we need to,
no, we need to know that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
helpful
and
too.
also at the schools, it's a little bit of a dilemma at the schools, because we're on our own, and, okay, so the first form is the incident injury report form. So this really is only for something, memorable or serious. Okay, it's not if, a kid talks back to somebody. So it's really for something major. And then we ask you to fill it out. We ask that if you're at a program site, not at a school, because at a school there's no one to give it to, but at a program site, make a copy, give it to the program site. It'd be nice if it could all be done that night. There's, that's really what we strive for, is for it to be filled out that night. So you give a copy to the program site, a copy goes to us, maybe scan an email or fax or mail, a lot of ways to get it to us. And then also put a copy in the student registration binder, and there is a tab in the student registration binder for completed incident injury reports.
So you definitely want to, because this, for example, a student ran into the door and busted his glasses, right? So he's gonna go home with his busted glasses. Mom's gonna say, what happened? So we want it, that's, to me, it's not like a major thing. He's not bleeding, he didn't, but I still would write up that, and then I would make sure that a copy or a note got sent home to the mother. So
Yes.
instead of giving her an incident report form, I would write a handwritten note that says, Joey walked into the door,
we have-
you know, broke
We
his
have
glasses.
the protocols. Let's go through and
Okay.
see what we say for the schools, maybe, and I think that we
Okay.
do notify the parent, but no, that's a good point. Okay, so the next thing is student and tutor injury protocol and program shelters. So basically what we recommend is that if something happens, that program staff be called. And at the hotels, it's the parent. So we'll have to make that clear. So, you will have the parent's cell phone numbers at the hotel, or actually in your case, the parent will be there, Karen. So in case of something at the hotel, the parent should be summoned. At a shelter, it's the staff. We're not asking site coordinator or tutors to deal with anything. So that's what it says. You read through that we notify the staff, and then if it's something major, you'll complete the incident injury report form, bring it to School on Wheels, copy to the program staff, and a copy of the student registration manager. Okay, so that's at the shelters. At the schools, I haven't read this in a while, I don't even remember what it says at the schools. Okay. So at the schools, we are on our own, but part of the program, the partner agreement for the schools is we're asking them to notify a person on site that can be our emergency contact. So that's written into the program partner agreement and one of the things that we'll talk about with the schools. And we have done that in the past where we, on the contact sheet, I've listed
Right.
the office, the person that you call in the event of an emergency.
Right, but let's say you have a major emergency.
Yeah, so
and-
let's see what we say. Can we take the time and read this? I think it's important enough to read this over. So it says in case of emergency, we'll call 911. Student is not to be moved. Site coordinator will stay with the student or the tutor, and another tutor should summon the school contact person on site. Okay, so that's an emergency. And it says the site coordinator will call the parent guardian to let them know. Cheryl, thinking back to what you said, would you rather that?
Well,
I
they're
guess
gonna
we'll-
call from the school. This is for the school, so they'd be calling from the school phone.
Okay, that's not really anything that's ever been specified, but we can talk that through, but the parent needs to be notified.
Yes, it's a school and wheels phone.
So can you use that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you say?
If you're a bus monitor, you would have a school on wheels phone,
Right.
and you could use that phone as well. You wouldn't have to leave the tutoring room, and you
But
could
is that
just,
phone kept on the bus? So would you have it?
no, you would, I don't,
There's a chance that if you're not, there's only one bus phone per bus, so if it's not your day, there's a chance that you don't
well,
have
we
that
can,
phone.
we can work on
So we
getting
have to,
another
we'll have
phone.
to,
Yeah,
we will have to
that's-
work that out.
But the
Yeah.
phones are kept on the bus or no?
No.
No, they're not, nothing's
the
kept on
cycle.
the bus.
No.
Yeah,
Nothing's kept on the bus.
Oh,
We have a bus bag that gets sent around to the bus monitors. So we'll have to figure that out. So it says the site coordinator will call the parent guardian. In the event parent guardian unreachable, an emergency contact should be called, and again, that's why you have those student registration binders, because all the emergency contact information is in there. In the event a tutor is injured, emergency contact should be called, okay? When things are under control and all necessary phone calls have been made, the site coordinator will call me or Cheryl, and then we will be in touch with the appropriate person at the school to let them know what has happened, like the principal.
Right. Okay, so let's say it's an emergency,
Okay.
God forbid, where somebody has to go in an ambulance. How do you handle that?
That's a good question.
You know, tutor and then versus student.
You should probably go.
Well, I know that, but I want the official protocol.
Yeah. We're gonna have to develop an official protocol, and I think we'll
Right,
have to talk with
because-
our program partners about
We
that.
talked to the schools, because the schools probably, they would be responsible for telling us what they would do.
Right,
In that
that's-
case,
that's really
I would
important
imagine
to
that a
know.
school, yeah, it's not, yeah. Because there's
Yeah,
other
you
after
can't
school
leave
programs
your
at the
house,
school.
Yeah. Well, I know, I mean, with the tutor, they could go on their own and you'll call their emergency contact, they're
Right.
older, but with student,
That's a very good question. It
Yeah.
hasn't come up before, so we
We'll
will.
check that out when we meet with the school.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
And the last thing is that site coordinator
no,
will stay with the injured party until they're relieved
right.
by someone else.
So then
So-
that would mean they'd go with them in the ambulance.
Well, that's what it means, but we have to check that out and see if that's really what it means. I've never thought about that before, about an ambulance.
We're thinking about all the worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, you do.
It's better to be prepared.
Yeah.
It is, and that's-
Well, normally
Yeah,
there's more
because
than
the
one
year
paid
tour,
staff.
Do I leave all my other?
You know what I'm
students
saying?
tutors?
No, because I've worked at places, kids are always going off, were always going off the ambulance, but there,
Really?
well, because it would be like at a residential school, but there was a lot of paid staff around,
There
Who would-
there isn't.
so,
I've been
But
there
we
many times where, when we've signed out,
no,
sometimes
there's
the
no
office
one
is
there.
locked.
Yeah, I remember,
There's
there was no
nobody
one there.
there.
Yeah, they leave.
I mean, there might be the Smart Start program, but they're
Yeah,
not
the after
necessarily
school.
easy to find.
The after-school program.
Yeah, that, no,
Right.
that's wrong, I think really, I thought that many
And
times.
we should
That
actually
there
say
should-
that.
they
That
should
be
have
part of
staff
our partner
there.
agreement letter, that we're not, that they have to have somebody on staff, that we can't be the last one out of the building, but there's always a
No,
custodian.
no, they are, but also the after-school program is there.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you don't always know where they are.
But
you
we're
know,
gonna
for
make
backup.
sure that,
We have-
that's what she said,
They
that
should
in
have
our
someone
partner
always, I think,
agreement
in
letter,
the
we're gonna
front,
have
yeah,
an
right.
emergency number for you to have
And
Right,
we
the
actually
school.
have,
And there's a phone in each room.
right.
and I did have a last year, a school contact.
Right,
And the phone number. for it.
right.
No, I know what you mean though, Myra, because I would be there with you, and it would be a ghost, it's like, where is everybody?
I mean, even
And
if
then
we
you
had to
worry
send
about the
somebody
weird,
from
like a weirdo
administration
trying to come in the
building
desk, you know?
But the after-school program is there, but,
There is
But there,
We
you don't
will-
even know where they are, it was weird, yeah.
but there is a phone number for
Right.
the office, because we do talk about this. with
Well,
them,
hopefully
and they
there's
give
someone
us-
with like, you know what I mean, like,
A walkie-talkie.
what are those things called? Yeah,
They have
exactly.
walkie-talkies.
Yeah,
at
they
the
do. They
school,
usually have a
so maybe
walkie-talkie.
that is something that each of the site coordinators should get when they walk in at the front desk in the administration office, that they get that walkie-talkie and they know who it is that they should be
Or
contacting.
just that number, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah, or
The,
just
wa- the
the
walk, the people in the school have the walkie-talkie and you know what I
But they
mean?
usually have an extra walkie-talkie, why can't we get that extra
Yeah,
walkie-talkie?
yeah.
So that's a good
We
one.
have had the contact office and the office number, but
So.
we feel that that's not sufficient. Okay, so we'll talk about that.
Well, I'm saying this, sometimes there's somebody in the office and sometimes there's nobody in the office.
In the,
There
not the
should be
main
somebody
office, I'm talking about
for
the
the
after-school office.
Oh, yeah,
Because
I
the
don't
Smart Start,
know.
that's
Right.
been the emergency, that was the emergency contact
Right.
last year, was Smart Start.
Right,
and they
I
gave
mean,
us the
luckily
number.
we haven't had to deal with it, but you don't know if they're always gonna be in the office. And when
All
you're
right.
having emergency,
So we will
Is there
revisit this and
security?
make sure about that.
no, there's a custodian.
I mean, the doors, all the entrances
Or
are locked.
Okay,
Okay, so we're gonna get more information.
Okay.
So this
Yep.
is great that these questions are coming up before our
Yep.
program partner meetings in a
Yep.
few weeks, so.
yes,
Good.
absolutely.
Good suggestions, guys. Good thinking.
So in a non-emergency, if it's a minor emergency, minor injury, site coordinator can provide ice or a Band-Aid. We have first aid kits at the site, first aid kit at each site. And then again, for more serious injury, the site coordinator should remain with the student or tutor, and a tutor should summon the school contact person at the site. The site coordinator should call the school on wheels operations director if he, she feels it is necessary. Special circumstances. If a site coordinator or tutor thinks that a student might be contagious in some way, for example, lice or conjunctivitis, the site coordinator shall call the parent guardian. If the site coordinator thinks it's imperative that the student not go home on the bus, parent guardian will be asked to pick up the child. If they're unable to do that, School on Wheels will pay for a cab. And site coordinator shall also call School on Wheels to inform them.
Here's another question.
So we can give you a.
Yeah, but
So are
they're-
you
We
gonna
have a
call
Yeah, but they're
chart.
already after school.
Well,
Yeah.
we're
And
gonna
no one
work
did
out-
anything all
we're
day
gonna
at the
have to
school,
work
so
out
I
Right.
think like,
That who's calling
the
the
school
parent.
didn't do anything all day.
Right.
No, but who's calling
You know
the
what I'm saying?
cab?
If the kid had license.
Yeah, the
it's
kid
like
didn't
at
do
the
it-
end of
yeah,
day.
the
Do you
Well,
you
we
can
have-
set up a prepaid account
No,
with
We
that?
have a prepaid account.
So that's what I'm
we can-
saying, Cheryl,
But this would
right?
only apply to the schools.
Yeah,
this is
that's
only
what I
for-
meant.
So we have Brockton Cab Service that we would,
Yeah.
all you would have to do is, we'll give you that information, it can be in your
But
training manual.
You
if
know
you
what I
can't
mean.
contact the parents and you've got a
You
first
can't.
grader that you're sending home.
Oh, you
on
wouldn't
a
send a
day.
cab, the parent has to come to pick up the
Oh,
student.
Oh, the parent, right, we would pay for the
Yeah,
parent to
oh,
come.
the parents would
To
take
come,
a
oh, no,
cab.
no,
Oh,
no, we
right,
don't
gotcha.
send it, yeah.
Yeah, but by that time of the day, you know what I mean, it should have
Usually
been
the kid
taken
gets
care
on the
of.
bus because the
I
kids,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when we had that incident where the kid had lice, right, at whatever school, they got on the bus because at that point they'd been in school all day,
Yeah,
like
they
they
were
said.
already-
already,
also
yeah,
when
they
they
were
were
already
in
in
tutoring.
school,
In
yeah.
that case, the nurse was there, and the nurse said that that was their policy
And the
to
nurse
put the
is
kid
the
on
one
the
that put
bus.
him on the bus.
This, yeah,
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was interesting to find out.
I have another quick question.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say, the student is fine and then halfway through the tutoring program, they don't feel well. It's not a major emergency, but you feel their head, they might be getting a fever, they might be coming down with a virus.
There's no nurse
Just-
available.
Right, there's no nurse available. I mean, again, you don't think it's severe,
So
but is that
then you
something where you would contact the parent, write a note to the parent? How
I
would you?
I would say you could write a note and send it home with the student. I don't know, if you don't think it's severe, I don't think that anything more than a note home to them to just give them a heads up.
That, right, that's what I'm
That
saying, they're
you're-
not going home with
Yeah,
you,
Johnny
say.
told me that he wasn't feeling well, and
So,
that's all I would do. I'd
please
like to
check
hear what
into
Cheryl
it.
says, but I don't think it's
Okay.
necessary. If it's something that's not severe, that doesn't have to be addressed
right,
immediately.
well, they say
I
they
would
have a
just do it-
stomach ache
I
or
would just do it, I would
something.
just do a note.
If
just
projectile
do it.
vomiting, you might want to
Well,
segregate the
that's
tutor
different.
from the child and go, "No, that's okay.
Well, okay,
So
so I
then-
just didn't know if you wanted, to write a note.
That, I would when Cheryl comes back in, let's
Okay,
ask her
so
that
she's like-
question. Are you guys okay to go a few minutes over?
Yeah,
No?
Our plans. So just a couple,
A
I still
couple
have a
minutes.
45 minute.
We started later than we should have.
I thought we were done, I shut it.
No. We actually covered a good portion
Okay.
of things, because we really didn't get started till 1. So I skipped over this, college interns. So, in the past, we've kind of informally asked tutors to help, right, at the Downey. We did this at a lot of different
Yeah.
sites, at the youth division, right, we asked people to stay beforehand, and because we used to have 2 site coordinators at the youth division, we went down to 1, and so we reached out to tutors. Jackie made the suggestion that we should do that a little bit more formally and see if we can actually recruit interns and call it an internship and give them the responsibility of getting to the site before and, staying late to help the site coordinator. So we are recruiting interns. We already have someone for the Raymond, and we already have someone for the Lewison. And, they would just come early, they would help with setup, and we would actually give them a regular student except for your site. Your site, we would not assign them a regular student because you said that it would be better if you had one person that was there that you could rely on. So we would not assign them a regular student. We can talk about
Oh,
this more.
yeah, what do you mean?
But that's what we
Oh,
had
about
said.
one of my
Just helping
students?
No. An intern for you expressed that,
Well, no, well, yeah.
that you would
yeah.
like them to be
Well,
available.
Right. Well, talk about with the with the why. You know what I mean about like trying to get into the room. Yeah, I just think most to be truthful, I really
Well, we
feel
can-
like I need because I have so many.
We can talk about
Yeah.
that and we'll
Well, you know what I'm
bring
just
that up at
saying
the-
because
at
I have
the
just so
program
much going
part of
on.
it.
I have so many
I
people
know.
and so many kids.
So anyway, the youth division's a little problematic because you're only once a week and it's such a short time.
My tutors actually really enjoyed helping me set
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
up,
we
so
can't
it's
really,
okay. Yeah, it's okay.
and probably the same with Lincoln Tech. It'd be hard to recruit an intern, but for the school sites, for Family Life, for the Lewison, Norwell, I don't know if it makes sense. Downey, we
well,
could.
if I have a student in high school or college, and you could ask them
Well,
as
we did.
part of it,
That's
that's
what we did
great,
last
and then,
year.
yeah, it worked great.
That's what we did last
Because
year.
what happens is a lot of times I can't even get in there
Yeah, right.
because I have to go and get the snack
Right.
ready,
Okay.
to set
No,
up.
I know. So you.
Okay,
talk to me,
so disclosure of possible we're gonna stop here. We're gonna pick up the next time with all of our policies, and then we're almost done. Really, we probably have maybe 30 minutes left. So disclosure of possible abuse or neglect. If someone says something to a tutor or says something to you, you tell program staff immediately. Let me see what I don't even remember. So the tutor should, and we go over this in the tutor training. The tutor should tell the site coordinator. The site coordinator informs program staff at the shelter. You also inform us. School on Wheels and the program staff of the shelter will talk about the next steps. We will get back to people and let them know what those next steps are. And you should fill out an incident injury report. In the policies, which we're not going to go over today, it specifically says this does not preclude anybody from calling directly, because Lainey brought that up at our training last year. So if the comment is made to a tutor, our policy does not preclude them from making a phone call to the state. This is our protocol, but we're not saying that they can't do that. So I think we started late. I think we should stop. I think we're at a good place. We can pick up with our policies and just finish up. Are there any big questions? And also, people who have to leave can leave. If you want to hang around, you can hang around.
I just want to say about what you
Yes.
just covered. I won't get into it more specifically, but the Y knows that. No one has done that so far, but I thought almost like someone threatened to. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's not a separate thing. So another time.
Yes,
do you know what I'm
we can-
saying? But so that was interesting because
You mean a tutor
she's
threatened to
an
call?
educator.
Yeah.
About contacting the state. So you're saying though.
We cannot
Okay.
prohibit
So, but I
anybody
just-
from
right,
making
right.
Yeah,
Right.
especially
Right.
teachers are mandated reporters.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
anyways.
even the volunteers are mandated, but we cannot prohibit anyone from doing
So the
that.
volunteers are mandated reporters too. Okay.
Yes.
So.
And it says that we're gonna do it specifically in the
But we
policies
still
now.
have to follow
What did we
procedures.
say?
You want the communication. I mean,
Yeah.
the most important thing is if you have a tutor
Yeah.
who's saying that they have some concerns about something, then you'd want to sit down with the shelter staff and let the tutor know that you are definitely going to
I did
address
that.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then did you also let Robin and
Well,
Jackie know?
Yeah, I did, but we'll just see because some of these problems with one is I think it's ongoing.
Yeah.
So we'll you know what I mean?
And if the tutor doesn't feel like things have been resolved, then we've done what we're
Yeah.
supposed to do. Then the tutor needs to do what they
Right.
feel is
Right.
And
But I kind of tried to diffuse it, and now I'm trying to like maybe switch. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we
It's a-
should never get in the middle to as a
No, I
paid
know.
employee for
It's-
school and meals. You would never want to try to dissuade somebody from doing something
Okay.
that if they
Right.
Well, no, I pretty much just
You just
say that I'm
you
more
need
taking
to,
information,
you can say I've
told the Y
addressed it.
staff,
Yeah.
and then we'll just see what happens. You know
You
what I
And
mean?
just
they- and they-
document
and they
each
were aware of
step.
it.
Yes.
They were aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
So the why,
So.
yeah, but
one
they
more
should definitely follow
question
through and do what they
to
feel is
Cheryl,
best.
and then we're gonna leave. So Myra brought up a point, if a kid in the middle of tutoring says they don't feel well, it's nothing major, but they have a headache, whatever, what should we do? And so we decided that, if Myra just writes a note to the parent that goes home to the parent, that we don't have to do an incident report, we don't have to call
No,
anybody,
and,
just.
and that's happened several times when I've been out of school, and I didn't, not several times, but, it's one kid in particular where he's just melting, he's tired, he's
Right.
he's probably hungry, he's thirsty, so I try to get him something to drink, and
Right.